So welcome to the review. This is the 2018 Mercedes-Benz E400 4Matic Cabriolet. So I understand it's a lot. What does it even mean? So it's the 2018 Mercedes-Benz. Again, that's just the year and then the make. The model is the E400. So the E is kind of that mid-size sedan for Mercedes-Benz. It's not as big as the S-Class, not as small as the C-Class. So it's kind of right in that middle threshold. Definitely similar to a 5 Series. It's really kind of direct competitor as well, but it's really that mid-size kind of sedan. 400 is just the trim or the engine level. So you've got the 250, 300, 350, 400, and 450. That 400 is kind of right in between that 350 and 450, obviously. So not the highest trim level, which would be the 450, and not the lowest, which would be the 250, but definitely kind of on the higher end of the trim level. 4Matic just means four-wheel drive. So some people call it 4x4, some people call it 4Matic, some people call it X-Drive. That would be BMW's kind of version of saying it. Well, that's all it is. It's just four-wheel drive. And then lastly, it's a Cabriolet. It just means convertible. So it's the 2018 Mercedes-Benz E400 4Matic convertible, or it's a mid-size four-wheel drive convertible. That's all it is. Just mid-size convertible four-wheel drive. That's it. So now let's talk about performance. It's a 3-liter V6 twin turbo, producing 329 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque, 9-speed, with the 0 to 60 of around 5.2 to 5.5 seconds. It's disappointing, especially with the four-wheel drive aspect, which would really help you get that traction, get that churn in. It's also twin turbo, so even though the horsepower isn't a ton, you're going to get kind of what I might call faster horsepower. Even with all that, it's around 5.5 seconds, and I opened it up coming up on the interstate in sport mode, so not manually shifting, but it did feel every bit of the 5.5 seconds. Honestly, felt a little bit slow, but I mean it's definitely still quick, but just kind of not what I was expecting. Next, it's a 9-speed automatic transmission. Gets around 20 mpg in the city, around 25 on the highway, so you're looking at around 22.5 to 23 mpg overall. Again, that's disappointing. With the V6, I would think, especially with 9 gears, I mean, I'm in D6 right now. I'm kind of surprised I'm not higher, really, except I'm in sport mode, so maybe that's why. But yeah, okay, so that's it. So now I'm in D9 in comfort, going around 75 miles per hour. And it's still saying I would only get 25 mpg on the highway. So city 20, highway 25. That's a disappointing figure to me. If you've got 9 gears and you're in a V6, I would think you'd be high 20s at least for the mpg. So definitely kind of curious to see where A, kind of where that power is going, and B, kind of where that efficiency is going. Because right now it doesn't really have either of them. Lastly, how much does it cost? I mean, I would say arguably the most important question. Base was $70,000 when this was new. I think it went all the way up to around $85,000 to $90,000 with the different options. So it's an expensive car. It does have quite a few options. Again, like thinking about it, the 400 would be more expensive, Cabriolet would be more expensive, 4Matic would be more expensive. So it does have some extras. So this is an expensive car, and I think right now it feels nice. But a lot of this is plastic. This is all plastic here on the dashboard. This is, of course, all plastic here, kind of in the central console area. This is a nice big screen. Not a big fan of the screens in general, but I think it's pretty nice. I do like the fact that the speedos and the main indicators are still analog. Definitely like that. And then that center area, kind of in the instrument cluster, is a screen. I don't mind that as much, but it's definitely not my favorite. Has nice quilted leather seats. And then as you get in here, you can see there is quite a bit of plastic for a $70,000 car. So this is all plastic here. This is all plastic. One other kind of weird nuance is the water bottle doesn't fit very well in here. So you can see it has some prongs in here as if to hold it in place. But even with a water bottle like this, that's a pretty good size. It just moves around a lot. Some things I do like though, having all these switches are incredibly helpful, especially as you're kind of navigating while you're driving. These switches are incredibly helpful. Love the switches. I wish all cars had these, especially for kind of the basic features. Next, I really do like the fact that the speedometer and kind of the main instrument cluster are analog. You do have a nice screen in the middle, which I think is helpful for kind of seeing mileage and stuff like that. But I really do like the fact that these actually are analog. You can also see the back seat is definitely a little bit tight. I'm gonna get back there in a second, but you can also see that center kind of console in the back is plastic as well. So that's overall the inside. I think it's actually pretty well laid out overall. Really like the switches here, really like the analog cluster here, and that's kind of it for the front. The next thing you're gonna see is, of course, it looks pretty cramped in there, but what's nice is actually as you put this seat up, this seat actually moves up too. And then as you can try to get into this back seat with me, it definitely is pretty tight. And then I was sitting in the front, so let's see how this feels back here. So you can see my knees are straight in front of me. Oh, and that's actually a nice feature. So if you saw that, what it did is the second it felt my knees, it pushed forward. So my seat was actually further up than this. But again, once it kind of hit my knees, it pushed forward. And now if I put this up, the seat goes all the way forward again. So the legroom definitely is not very good back here, but the car actually is pretty smart. Once it hits your knees like it did there, it's aware of it and then it pushes that seat forward. So definitely pretty great functionality here. As I open up the trunk here, you can see there really isn't great space here. I put my backpack in here, and even with just that, the storage for the roof takes up most of the trunk space itself. So I'm definitely kind of surprised that there isn't as much room here. It looks like it's fairly deep, but really it's actually pretty shallow, and you can probably fit maybe 2 suitcases in here. But again, that convertible top just takes up so much of the space there. So before I give a final review of the car itself, I just want to show some basic footage of the outside again. I really do like those AMG rims, although selfishly, in all those spokes, that would be a massive pain to clean every single time with all the brake dust. I really do find the exterior to be nice, but really just kind of too sleek and angular. And again, I continue to be baffled by the fact that this trunk is just so small. I've looked at a couple of BMW actually hardtop convertibles, as well as a Jag soft top convertible, and the trunk space here is just abysmal, especially given this is a soft top. I think the car looks pretty good overall. It's again just kind of too angular, and I think it's just kind of the way Mercedes is going in general. However, I do really like those kind of front lights. Lastly, I do think the car does look better with a soft top. I really do kind of like just the way it looks. I think it helps kind of mask some of those super sleek lines. But again, I just definitely do have some hesitations on this car. So for the second to last segment, I just want to let you hear the engine. I actually think this recording makes it sound quite a bit better than it actually was, but still it's really the best way for you to hear it. Let me start this off by saying I was a Mercedes fanboy. My first car was a Mercedes, although it was older than me, but that car showed me what Mercedes was. Class, elegance, reliability, durability, although it was quite slow, but it showed me what Mercedes was and what it should be. As I was driving this car, my passenger and I were discussing the car, and she classified the car as pretty, and I think that's right. Mercedes isn't about durability, reliability, or quality, or really anything in between. I really find Mercedes being the car that just tries to make itself look pretty, puts on the makeup, puts on the sleek curves, and calls it a day. Now, I'm not just trying to indict Mercedes off of one vehicle, because I do absolutely love the GTS, and they do definitely have some great cars, but these are just my thoughts for now. So as far as my scoring, here it is. Exterior, 6. Just way too sleek and angular for me. Interior, also a 6. I understand cars need to have plastic, but this car had a lot of plastic and also just seemingly pretty low-grade plastic. Performance, 4. Given the price point of the car, the fact that it's a 4-wheel drive and twin turbo, it actually surprised me kind of how slow and how poorly this car sounded. Feel, 4. I think this car can just be defined as sluggish. It felt sluggish in really every aspect of my review. The gear changes were sluggish, the car was sluggish, and also just felt like it didn't really have a soul. Lastly, for value, I give it a 4. Even with the price point that I'll talk about in a second, it's just not great value. For the original $75,000 to $90,000 that this car would have cost brand new, I just can't recommend that at all. Even now, it's probably between $20,000 to $25,000 for this car as you see it in this review, and I'm still not sure I could recommend it. I'm going to be reviewing a 2018 Audi S5 pretty shortly. that would probably be around the same price point, and I think that car is better than this one in really every aspect. So even at that new price point, I just think there are a lot of better cars out there for your money. So overall, I rated a 24 out of 50. Definitely a pretty brutal score to start this, but I just didn't think it was a great car. I think especially given the price point, I don't think it's a bad car in and of itself, but I just think there are a lot more great cars out there that need to be found. Let me know what you think and make sure to leave a comment and subscribe. I'll see you next time.